I'm Ben Allen, host for the Writer's Tonic Mastermind and founder of BC Allen Publishing Group. As you know, it's our goal to help usher into existence the world's next great wave of personal development, professional development, entrepreneurship, and self-help writing. Basically, books that change lives and spur human evolution. That's why we've created this interview series. And before you jump into your interview, I just want to mention another resource we've created that will be massively useful along your path from message or idea to book to movement. Soon after the interview series finishes, BC Allen Publishing Group will be hosting a free, at-home, online, live, day-long writing retreat that is designed to help you refine your book ideas no matter how vague, outline your book, free yourself from any and all creative blocks no matter how long you've had them, build the right team to bring your book to life with ease, and figure out if self-publishing, partnership publishing, or a traditional approach is right for you. We'll also talk about how to get funding to write and publish your book. So keep your eyes on your inbox for details about that as it comes up. It's going to be a blast. For now, enjoy the interview, listen to all of them. We made them for you. So I'm here with Lucinda Yates, and I'm absolutely excited and overjoyed. This is going to be an incredible call for me. Lucinda, you've just done such extraordinary things with your company. And with raising money for charity through your company and having really cause-driven business. And so I'm super, super excited to learn. And I think that this is going to be of huge value to our listeners who I think most all of them have like a message or a story or an expertise that they really want to impact the world with. And you're somebody that's done that. You built a movement. And I think that we can kind of apply across some of the things that you've done into the book marketing and publishing world. So I'm just super, super, super happy to have you on here.
Awesome. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Great. Well, I'm going to read your bio real quick, and then I'm just going to pepper you with questions. So,
all right.
Okay. So Lucinda Yates lives in Maine. She is a creative visionary behind Designs by Lucinda. She is considered one of the first, and this is really cool, one of the first powerful thought leaders in cause-related marketing, which we're going to just talk a bunch about. Her ability as an artist combined with her entrepreneurial spirit built a multi-million-dollar company, and additionally, and this is incredible, raised over $30 million for nonprofits worldwide. This is extraordinary, listen. Her everybody wins approach and genuine love of storytelling has made her a public speaker, inspiring audiences across the nation. Her message that we all have the power of magic within us has given her privilege to speak to businesses like Coca-Cola, Prudential, and UPS, as well as faith-based organizations, including an audience of 5,000, where she was so scared she ran off the stage and missed the standing ovation. I love it, Lucinda. It's great. Well, I'm so psyched to have you on here. So for people that don't know your work, will you just give us a brief overview of what your company was, what the business was, what you sold, and kind of how you sold it?
Okay. So back in the late 80s, somewhere around 1989, I think, I created a pin that, like a brooch that you wear on your lapel. And it was in the image of a house. And I created it while I was designing jewelry one day because I was a jewelry designer at that time. And as soon as I saw the image appear on the pin, it didn't look much like the work that I normally did. And a thought, and actually, I shouldn't start this out straight away telling you I hear voices, but I heard a voice. And this little voice was sort of like on my shoulder in my left ear. And it just said to me, wow, this would make a great fundraiser for the homeless. And so I said, well, yeah, I guess it would. And so I went to my local shelter and started, talking to them about the idea of what if we sell these pins with houses on them to raise money for the homeless and also raise awareness about a cause or a social issue, really, that no one was willing to have discussions about, and everybody was really in denial about homelessness during the late 80s. And so this was sort of an entry point to opening up a discussion, and the pins that I created were all different, one of a kind, but they all had one thing similar on them, and that was the house. And they were whimsical, and it was something that people were I designed a whole system around it, nobody had ever create anything like it. I mean, I created the process and everything. So they were very unique. And people would say to one another as they wore them about in the communities, oh, that's a cool pin. Where did you get it? And it just started people talking about the issue of homelessness. And they would say, well, I bought it from, the local shelter. They're selling them in a store downtown. So businesses that were selling them were getting this great, PR through people wearing lapel pins. And I always say now, like, wow, I had the first viral marketing, and it wasn't even the internet. It was a lapel.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so that was kind of consciously baked into it. You were thinking like this pin will help raise awareness just by the fact that people will wear it and others will ask questions about it. So that was kind of baked into the product.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please.
Yeah, I totally knew that it would raise money and awareness. I kind of thought it would be really cool if it turned into what I grew up to know as the POW bracelet, that it was a symbol and that it would be recognized. And so people, it would stay in the conscious mind of people. As soon as they saw it, they would be reminded, that of the homeless. And it turned out it worked. It worked.
Yeah, that's great. How did you know it was working? It was raising money, right? That was part of it?
Well, that was part of it. And I was taking orders hand over fist for these. When I first started, I really was just doing it. My sole intention was just to be involved in my own community and help. That was it. I had no intention of starting a business. That was not my plan. My plan was to help out the local, it was a food pantry at the time, serving people, who didn't have housing and giving them breakfast and stuff. But I guess I just, didn't expect it to turn into what it turned into. And it was by good fortune, really, that a realtor actually bought one and liked it so much, as you would figure they might, since it's a pin of a house and that's their business. And she was going to a national convention in Florida, and there would be 22,000 people there and realtors. And she said, would you mind if I sold them there and brought the money back to the shelter? I said, no, how many do you want? And so she said, how about 100? I made her 100 different ones, all with houses on them. And off she went, and I handed her a flyer, and that flyer was just a Xerox, 8x10 piece of paper. I said, with everything you sell, hand this out. And it basically said, these are called house pins. They are helping the homeless in Portland, Maine. If you want to help the homeless in your own backyard, call me. And it was my phone number.
Wow.
Sure enough, I started getting phone calls from mostly women all over the United States who were realtors and asking me, we want to sell them. Our board of realtors wants to sell them. Our women council of realtors wants to sell them to raise money for. And they'd say Habitat for Humanity, our domestic violence shelter, transitional housing program, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff out there that's happening. And clearly it was a great educational process for me to learn more about the services that how people were trying to, tackle this problem. And before you know it, through realtors selling them and donating the money from the sale of the pins to nonprofits in their community, it started to spread into the mainstream, into, where nonprofits themselves started hearing about it. And there was a big transition there, because at that time, nonprofits just accepted checks. So if you were going to donate, you just give them money, end of story. Well, I was sort of a bit of a rebel about that. I was like, I don't think it's fair that people should just like hand out money and expect nothing in return. I know that doesn't sound right, but I really believed that. I just really believed, like, build a relationship with the people that are helping you. Give back to them. They're giving to you. This is not exclusive. You're not exclusive. We're in this together. So make sure you recognize me. And this was a way that people who purchase pins could be recognized.
That's really brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that was what was part of what helped this thing really grow so virally? Was the fact that it gave the buyer a sense of a relationship with the nonprofit? It kind of helped them feel like they weren't just giving money, but they were like they were building relationships.
Yeah, I do. I think for some people it was very important. You know, a lot of the consumers were thrilled to be able to support a local charity. I also liked, for me, and this is sort of the part that this is the personal side of me. I liked the fact that a lot of people would buy the pins just because they liked the pins.
Yeah,
they really didn't. They didn't care about the homeless, and it's true. Some people don't. And I liked it when they did buy a pin and they didn't really have an interest necessarily in the cause, because I knew that what was going to happen to them was they were going to wear that pin and people would ask them about that pin. There was some kind of magic in them. I don't know exactly what that magic was, but that's what happened when you wore the pin or a house pin. And that once they were asked that question, every single time they would be forced to look at how to respond, whether or not they would say they had any connection at all to the homeless or not. So it was sort of my little joke, my private inside joke on, haha.
That's great. Yeah, no, it's really brilliant. So what else do you think helped the thing really take off? What helped these things become so viral? So we've got the idea that it's contributing to a cause, that it's also something that people like they just like the product as well. Like it's a cool product, right? And it can stand alone even without the cause. And then you've got the fact that it develops relationships, it develops conversation, it gives a sense of giving back. What else helped these things become viral?
Well,
I mean, you talk about this magic quality as well, which is definitely not to be undercut, I think. But there's
well, more. The magic was that, you know, I didn't really plan on it doing what it did. It just sort of started to, you know, take on this life of people calling me and asking me to make the pens, to the point where, I don't know, I probably made 500,000 pens.
Wow.
When I decided to reveal that a personal story. And I wasn't going to tell this story because I didn't think that it had anything to do with what my mission was. And my mission was, as you know, to raise money and awareness for this cause. And so I finally had this one customer who had sold a gazillion pens. I mean, she really had sold thousands of pens. And she actually came to my apartment and picked up an order in Maine one time because she was visiting here. And so I decided to share something intimate with her. And that was that I had been homeless prior to this adventure that I was doing, creating pins to, you know, raise money for the homeless. And she was just beside herself. And she said to me, "You have to tell that story." And of course I said, "No, I don't. This is not about me. And, you know, this is about the homeless." And she said, "But these pins," she said, "something about them." She said, "They're so special already. And people really love how special they are. If you told that story, it would just be so meaningful and so much more special." And I thought about it long and hard. And I finally said, okay, I'm opening up a whole new can of worms if I do this. And, you know, what are the pros and cons? I just didn't want it to be about me. I never wanted it to be about me. And so I finally decided that I would share that and created a card to attach the pins to that said that I had been homeless and that these pins were helping the homeless, that I'd created them to help the homeless, and that everybody, you know, is only one choice away from changing the world. You can change the world too. And I think that like sales. I mean, even more. I mean, we were already growing at a phenomenal rate every year, doubling.
Yeah, well, if you'd already sold 500,000 pins, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of
I know.
units.
I know. I don't know. Yeah, so that's.
But that personal story really added to it, huh?
Well, and I guess for me too, honestly, you know, and I said earlier, you know, there are people who don't care about the homeless, and I meant that sincerely because I don't know that I would have. I mean, I would like to think that I'm this caring person about the homeless and everything, but would I really have if I had never been homeless? I don't know. I don't know. We all like to think we're something, but the truth is, you know, we don't know until you know we're there. You make stories up. But anyway, you know, it worked out that, and I used to think too. Sometimes I'd say, when I was homeless, I'd say, why is this happening to me? This isn't like it was happening to me. Like, this isn't supposed to be my life. I'm supposed to be living this, you know, life with, you know, in the house with the white picket fence and the knight in shining armor. And I'm not. I'm living outdoors, sleeping under a bridge. And yeah, it's just like, it's so amazing. And I asked myself the question, throw my hands in the air, look up at the sky as if I'm going to get an answer. And then 5 years later, I was driving down the road on a highway, and you know how these sort of, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes like I'll have inspiration or insights or things like that on a long stretch of road. And all of a sudden, the answer to that question seemed like, in that moment, yeah, you had to go through all of that just to create this.
Wow.
This business. And I look back on that and I think part of me was saying at that time, because I was in the heights and the throes of this wild bus ride that I was the bus driver of, saying I would never change any of it. Because I'm in the sort of the glory of the coming home and telling the hero's journey story. And now that I've sort of lived through that and transitioned, I look back and I think, had you told me that I had to go through all those things to create that, I'm not so sure I'd have said yes.
Yeah.
No?
I do. I know what you mean. Yeah. But you did. You went through it all, and you turned that stuff into incredible value for the world.
And so I guess that's a huge takeaway for me, is that, you know what, just live your life, #do your work, do it. And no matter what it is, just keep doing it, because you don't know. You really don't know. And if you did know, you might not do it, and you'd miss out on something really huge. You know, something that you know, can really make a huge contribution.
Yeah, I love that.
And really, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I got a couple of questions about that, but yeah, what is the what's the do your work part? What do you mean by that? Like,
well, we all get, and I do this. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody, and I don't know if you call it guilty, but the thing is that we get these ideas in our head about, things have to be a certain way in order for us to proceed. It's like the in order to's. In order for me to do this, then everything would have to be like this. Or, boy, if I did that, then something like this could happen. The dread of what could possibly go wrong holds us back. And that's the part that gets in the way of doing your work. Just do your work. Just do your work, whatever it is. Just go do it one step at a time and see where it leads. Because you don't know. You don't even know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, really.
That's great.
And I think we lose a perception of where we are. And where we are is the only place that is.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no more. So be where you are, do your work, and enjoy where it goes. Things will just open up. Whether you like it or not has nothing to do with it.
And how much of that is like, this is where I really hear the magic in your work is like, and the magic in your message. It's like you do the work, you show up with something that you're passionate about, that you believe in, and things will kind of continue to take off. Like you don't know what will happen, right? And it could potentially be really big. How much conscious engineering of things was there? Like, when you were doing your work, how did you decide what work to do? How did you decide what the next step was? How did you decide? Did you have a long-term vision? It sounds like maybe in the beginning you didn't. I don't know if that changed for you at any point. But yeah, how do you figure out what the work is? And how do you figure out what the next step of that work is?
So in this business, the house pin business, I did not know about this business per se. I didn't sit down and write a business plan. If I could have written this business plan, I would be a bazillionaire for being able to do that.
Right.
This just unfolded, and I wrote the business plan as I lived it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Right.
It really, it's genius, but I didn't sit down and write that. I created it as I was living it. Every day were choices, and I just made them. I made what I thought were the choices for, the vision that was happening for me, which was to help the homeless. And so I just made choices on that. I stuck to that mission that I had, and I didn't veer from it. And that is really important. And I think you've heard me say this before, Ben, don't compromise your principles for sale. Stick with what is in your truest of true hearts. What is it you're doing, and why are you doing it? And don't let something else come along and offer you candy and take it. Stick to what you're doing.
That's great.
Look, I sort of lost track there of the question, but
no, this is all very valuable. Here's what I'm getting, just to give you feedback, or just to give the audience a kind of summation, and to put us in the same context here. You're like, I had asked you, how do you know what the next right thing is? Like, how do you know what the next bit of work is? And the awesome answer you gave is you figured that out on the fly. And part of how you figured that out was by staying true to what was in your heart, by staying true to what you really believed in. Now that's really amazing advice, I think. And that's what gives it an extra level of credibility is like, you've built something that was big. You've built a profitable multi-million-dollar business, and you raised $30 million for nonprofits. Like, and this is the system that you used. I think that's incredible for the aspiring authors and the authors that I work with who are looking to build big things around their message, and they're looking to connect with causes. Like, this is really powerful to hear, Lucinda. This is great.
I'm going to throw in here a little something though to think about, because I'm not going to be shy about telling you another bit of personal information about me. Is that, and this I think plays a role in it. Is the part of who we think we are. And there was a part of me who seriously thought I would be a famous jewelry designer. There was not one cell in my body that did not believe that.
Yeah.
And when I was designing jewelry, that's what I thought. So #do your work. So I was doing my work. And every ounce of my being was believing that I was going to be a major jewelry designer and have some big jewelry house. I don't even know why I had that dream, but I had it. And I'm doing my work, and bingo, the voice comes and says, hey, this would make a great fundraiser for the homeless. What I didn't know, and what you'll never know, and what nobody will ever know that's on the journey, is the big famous person that you think you are or going to be doesn't necessarily look like what you think. And pretty much I can guarantee you it doesn't look anything like what you think.
Right.
Here I think I'm going to be the big famous jewelry designer having a big jewelry house out of New York. And who am I? I'm the big famous pin lady. Yes, I became hashtag famous in some way, I did,
Yeah, you were on.
Well,
Yeah.
recognized.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you had been on national television and whatnot a bunch of times, right?
Oh my gosh, I have been on. Well, this is kind of funny. I mean, I've been on CNN. I've been on Donnie Deutsch's The Big Idea. I don't know if you remember that show.
I don't.
Yeah.
You were on Maury. You were on
Montel Williams. I mean, crazy shows too.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of TV stations all over the country. Because I, was doing a lot of public speaking. Those two things sort of go hand in hand. Yeah. Wherever you go, people are feeling you and so forth. But
I put us on a little jag there. I'm sorry. I want to go back to what you're saying. You were saying, yeah, do your work, and it may not look exactly how you predict it, but it'll look the way it's kind of meant to, or something.
Well, I guess the point I was kind of started off with there is about the part of yourself, who you think you are, who you believe you are. That's the part that, maybe for people to sort of take a look at what they're thinking, because what you're thinking is has something to do with it, I think. I mean, I truly believe that. Everything in me, and you know how you I guess in faith-based dogma, there's this thing about faith and having no doubt. I truly know what that feels like. I'm not saying I subscribe to it, but I can, because I don't know it exactly. It's not like every single time in my life that's true. But in this case, this was a major piece of, I think, the manifestation of all of this. Because there was nothing, not one fiber in my being, not a cell, nothing, didn't believe that was going to come true. And, it's these doubts when you second guess yourself, when you're, like, oh boy, that didn't work. I don't know. Hashtag keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's powerful stuff. So how would you help? Like, I think a lot of the people I work with, at times they have doubt, or they have fear about the impact of their voice, or they're worried that their message won't be powerful enough, or something like that. How do you suggest people deal with those kinds of thoughts? Like, it sounds like you just had this natural, you just knew, like it was innate to you, that you knew that there was going to be something, you were going to create something extraordinary. I think people might have that, and I think it can get really obscured with doubt. So how do you recommend that people deal with that kind of stuff when and if it comes up?
Good question. I guess my recommendation would be to go ahead anyway. Be willing to mess up. Got to be willing to, I can't honestly tell you that I never was afraid.
Yeah.
I was afraid of a lot of things I was asked to do. I mean, I was afraid when people started asking me to get up on stage and talk and tell, I had no idea. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. But you know what? At some point I just said, you just be yourself. Just get up on a stage and talk to people. Just do it and see what happens. Well, it turned out people loved it. And the reason they loved it was because I didn't have a PowerPoint. I didn't have all the stuff that you think you're supposed to have to do this thing. And I was completely unprepared. And I would just get up and I would do it. I would be terrified. I'd be so nervous, but I'd get up and I'd go do your work. I'd get right up on the stage, and that was my work. My work was to be on the stage. My work was to show up, be there, and just talk, and just be who I was, and whatever happened, happened. Well, for me, there was a lot of insight that happened on the stage. It was like being in therapy live to some degree. And people loved it. They loved the authenticity of the human spirit. And, that's the thing. It's really key to have that sort of child's mind in creating. And that's what I was doing on the stage, is creating right on the stage live. And that's what you're doing. And we're all doing it live right now, whatever we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have fears when you were starting the business? Did that come up for you? I mean, it sounds like maybe there was one level of you that knew, like you just knew that things were going to happen, but you had fear, but maybe there were fears on top of that at points?
Well, for me, I had an easy bar to measure. When I was doing okay when I was, designing jewelry. I mean, I was okay. I thought I was doing okay. I was, I had $20 at the end of the month in my bank account. I was like, great, keep going. But when the pins were designed and women were calling me and ordering, 50 pins at a time, and then one woman called and she said she wanted 400. I thought, okay, this is really creeping into my time for my jewelry design business. And so I need to make a choice. Am I going to create a business that, continue designing jewelry and selling it? Or am I going to design these house pins and sell those? If I have the choice to run a business that has more of a consciousness factor, or whatever you would call that, this awareness piece to it, because I thought, well, we have enough jewelry in the world, I'm pretty sure. So wonder if I did this, what would be the worst that could happen? I would become homeless again? Well, I already knew what that was, and I was young, so I thought, well, if that happens, I guess I could survive it, because I did. And so the fear of that happening, I was aware of it, but it wasn't paralyzing for me. I had already had enough stuff happen so that I knew what, my resiliency factor might be. And I think that that's part of why I was able to go forward.
Yeah, that's great. That's so good. I just want to echo again, just for people listening, like I love the certainty that you talk about. One of the things that I've interviewed a lot of people so far for this event, and people with really who've created extraordinary things in the world. And I just love hearing about their thinking, like what it is how they see themselves, how they see the world, how they see risk, and how they see potential. It's just really fascinating to kind of try that on and adopt that from other people. It's really cool. So I'm realizing the time here. We've got a few minutes left, and I want to be sure that I think we've already discussed it, but I want to be sure we get a crystal clear sense of what cause-based marketing is. And so what is it, and what would be a way for somebody to get started doing that?
Well, so cause-related marketing is, at least my knowledge of it, is from my experience, is that I used a way to attach a product to a nonprofit's way of fundraising. And that's cause-related marketing in my world. Mm-hmm. And I've had people ask me this, how they could help a nonprofit with the work that they do. And people do different things with creating things. For ease of language, let's use the word art. They may sew, they may build things with wood, I don't know, and they want to get into the cause-related marketing. They want their customer base to be the nonprofit world. And there's lots of, things that go along with that in terms of you can sell a product and have donation, part of the proceeds from your product go to a cause. That's one way. That's probably the most common way that we see cause-related marketing, like breast cancer ribbons. You see that on packaging to let you know that part of the money that you're spending is going towards breast cancer research. Mm-hmm. I did something a little different, and I asked my nonprofit, you do the work. You sell this. You connect with the customers. Connect with them. because this is what I would tell your audience, is if you want to get into cause-related marketing, build products that create relationships between people. And the best service that you can do is create products where the relationship is created as a triangle between two people and the nonprofit, so that there's communication. You know, there's communication between the nonprofit and the buyer, that the purchaser, and other people can see it and like it. I mean, if you build, create, I don't know, lamps, chances are it's going to go viral. It's in someone's home, it's not visible. So, looking at things that are visible, things that are in our lives all the time, that people see as we move about. So I think that's important, is to create things that build relationships. And if you were going to do it, is to don't hesitate to go out and experiment. Talk to a nonprofit. Go straight to them. That's what I did. I said, hey, what do you think about this idea? And see where it goes. You have to be willing to try new things. You have to be willing to try things that are not conventional. And just whatever. The idea sounds crazy to you. Oh, definitely try it. If it sounds way out there, I highly recommend trying it, because there's something there. In anything that's right off the wall, I would give it a shot, because there's jewels in there. There's little gems for you. And so go out there, be brave, and really connect with people in a really authentic and genuine way. That's what everybody's looking for.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that partly comes, I imagine, from being really genuine and authentic and passionate about what it is that you're up to, and having those life experiences and doing your work, right? If you're doing somebody else's work, that authenticity won't come through. But if you're doing your work, it's going to just be inherent in it.
Absolutely. It will show. I mean, it will show. It can't help itself.
Yeah, that's great. This is so good. I could really ask you, like, my mind is just going. I could ask you so many questions for so long. And I'm thinking, like, how do you apply this into books? And we've done a bunch of experiments with how to do that in books. We, oftentimes we'll use books to raise money for nonprofits. But then books create communities as well. Like, there's so many kind of movements built around books. But yeah, this is just such awesome stuff, Lucinda. So I noticed we're at the end of the call here, and I want to just ask you, is there a place, is there anything you got going on, or is there a place where people can kind of connect with you or follow what you do? Or are there any talks online maybe that people could see that you've done?
Well, if you want to see pins, you can see them at lucinda.com. The other thing, though, I just want to say this. It would be really cool. Maybe, you want to ask me more questions. I think you need to do some big live event where everybody shows up, and I'll be a speaker at your event, and anybody can ask any question they want.
I think that'd be a blast. Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Yeah, and perhaps, people can follow me on Facebook. Just look up Lucinda Yates. I'm in Maine. I don't know what else to say. And perhaps, we've got a book coming, #Do Your Work.
That's it. I love it. Yeah, totally. It'll change the world. But maybe what we can do, Lucinda, actually, is we could have maybe I could have a special panel at the event. You're just making me think about this now. I don't mind that this is being recorded. Maybe I'll do a special panel section with you and a couple other people. I can maybe. Yeah, that sounds like it could be really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That sounds like a great idea. Yeah, I mean, I love your message. I love your passion. I love what you've created is just so extraordinary. So more exposure to that is awesome. All right, the last question I always ask people on the call, and maybe we've already touched on it. Maybe it's something new that you're just present to in this moment right now that we haven't got to yet. If you have any advice for aspiring authors or established authors really looking to like get their message into the world and create an extraordinary movement or tribe around their message, what would that piece of advice be? And again, we maybe already hit it, or maybe it's something new now.
Boy, that's a good question. I'm not really good at giving advice. I'm just going to, as a reminder, just keep this in your mind. You're one choice away from changing the world.
I love that.
That's it. Do it.
So good.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. Do it.
Hashtag do your work, right? I love it.
Thank you, work.
That's it. Okay, Lucinda, thank you so much. This was extraordinary. I really, really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, Ben, it's been so great to connect with you, and I can't wait to see what comes of all of this.
Yeah, thanks you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank
Love
you.
you.
All righty, you too. Ben Allen here again. I hope you heard a few things that you can immediately implement into your book process. Before you run off to listen to the next interviews, be sure to move our emails from your promotions inbox to your main inbox by dragging one over there. And keep your eyes peeled for the free online at-home writing retreat. At it, you'll learn to refine and outline your book ideas no matter what state they are in. Free yourself from any and all creative blocks no matter how long you've had them. Build the right team to bring your book to life with ease. Figure out if self-publishing, partnership publishing, or a traditional approach is right for you. We'll also talk about how to fund your book publishing and writing process. Till then, keep writing no matter what.